All right, today we're diving into something really cool called LightRAG. It's a new AI tech that's basically trying to teach our AI assistants to, stop just throwing random facts at us and actually start seeing the big picture, connecting the dots so we don't have to.
So, have you ever had this happen? You ask an AI a pretty complex question, and what you get back is a bunch of disconnected pieces. You get the facts, sure, but you're the one left trying to figure out how they all fit together. Yeah, it's super frustrating, and there's a really good reason why that happens. Okay, take a question like this, which comes right from the research paper. A typical AI would probably pull up some info on EVs, a separate article on air pollution, and maybe another one on public transit. But where it falls flat is explaining how they all influence each other. It gives you the ingredients, but not the recipe. And that brings us right to our first big point. See, the problem isn't that the AI is bad or dumb. Not at all. It's that the way it fetches information right now has a major blind spot. It's like having a super smart librarian who can only hand you one book at a time, even when your question covers a whole shelf. The tech that does all this is called Retrieval-Augmented Generation, or just RAG for short. It's basically the system that lets an LLM go out and look things up in a huge database, so it's not just stuck with the old data it was trained on. Think of it as the AI's personal, super-fast Google. It's how it stays current. This slide right here just nails the difference. Standard RAG is like a flat encyclopedia. It finds the right page for EVs and the right page for air quality, but they're still just separate entries. LightRAG's whole approach is to build a connected mind map. It doesn't just see the topics, it sees the lines between them. And that means the AI finally connects the dots for you. So how do we get from that dusty old encyclopedia model to this dynamic, living mind map? Well, the secret sauce is in organizing information in a totally new way, which is what we're going to look at next. So instead of a long, boring list of text documents, LightRAG builds something called a knowledge graph. Just picture a giant spiderweb of information. Every key concept, like electric vehicles, is a point or a node on that web. And the connections, the strings between them, represent the relationships, like improves air quality. It's a structure that's built for context. Okay, so a knowledge graph, we get it. But how does LightRAG actually build this thing? And more importantly, how does it use it to give us better answers? Let's pop the hood and see how this engine really works. The process is actually pretty slick. First, it chops up big documents into bite-sized pieces. Then, and this is the magic part, it has an LLM read those pieces and pull out all the key ideas and figure out how they're related. Finally, it just stitches all those little pieces and connections together into that big, beautiful knowledge graph we were talking about. Now, this is really clever. When it's time to find an answer, LightRAG has two different modes. If you ask a super specific question, like, who wrote Pride and Prejudice? It uses what it calls low-level retrieval to pinpoint an exact fact. But if you ask a big, broad question, it switches to high-level retrieval to look at themes and connections across the entire graph. It actually knows what kind of question you're asking. All right, the theory is fantastic. It all sounds great. But does it actually perform better in the real world? Well, the researchers put it head-to-head against other systems to find out. Let's check out the scorecards. So first up, they tested it against a standard, basic RAG system. And the results, well, it's not even a fair fight. Look at this. LightRAG just dominates across the board. And get this, on the legal dataset, which is notoriously huge and complex, it has an insane 84.8% win rate. That tells you that the more complex the info gets, the more this graph approach just pulls away from the pack. Okay, but what about another graph-based system? A real challenger. Now, this is a much closer race. GraphRAG is a tough competitor, for sure. But even here, LightRAG still manages to come out on top in the most complex areas like CS and legal. That little edge seems to come from its unique way of building and searching the graph. And really, the researchers themselves sum it up best with this quote: "The big takeaway is crystal clear. Organizing knowledge as a graph isn't just a cool idea. It is fundamentally a better way for an AI to understand and navigate complex information." End of story. But here's the kicker. The benefits aren't just about getting better answers. It's also about being way more efficient. I mean, there's a reason they put the word light in its name. Oh, wow, this chart says it all, doesn't it? This is one of LightRAG's superpowers, the cost to update it. When you add new info, other systems have to rebuild their entire knowledge base from scratch, which the paper calls exorbitantly high. But LightRAG, It just neatly slots the new information into the existing graph. The difference in cost and time is just staggering. And the efficiency just keeps getting crazier. Get this. To pull information, LightRAG can usually do it in a single request, just one API call. Its main competitor can take hundreds of calls to answer the exact same question. We're talking about a massive difference in speed and, of course, money. So let's just wrap this all up. The LightRAG advantage really comes down to these four things. You get smarter, more complete answers. It's ridiculously faster and cheaper to run an update. It can adapt to new info in a snap. And because it sees the whole picture, the answers you get are richer and have more perspective. This is a genuine leap forward. And that leaves us with this final, really big thought. For centuries, we've been collecting knowledge, but so often we're the ones who miss the hidden connections between different fields. So as AI like LightRAG gets better and better at seeing that whole interconnected picture, the very connections we can't see, what new kinds of questions are we going to be able to ask? And what huge, messy, global problems will we finally be equipped to solve? Thanks for tuning in.